must reside in you. Because God cannot hear your prayer. He will not respond to your prayer if you're not truthful to yourself and understand here, based on what the scripture says, if you regard iniquity in your heart, he says, I will not hear you. See, God responds to emotions of personal truthfulness and honesty. Write it in. He will respond to your truthfulness and your honesty. So we must be emotionally truthful and honest with ourselves at a personal level. And so you think you can fool others, but you can't even fool yourself. Because there is something known as conscience. Something known as your conscience. And your conscience, even when you try to pretend my pastor, even when you're trying to pretend my brother, your conscience is still there speaking to you. And God hears what is in the heart, not just what we say casually from our lips. And God, he hears it because he sees my heart. He sees your heart. And you're watching on screen. God knows what you are saying, and God knows what you're going through there. And no wonder why Psalm 66 and verse 20 says, Blessed be God, which had not turned away my prayer, nor his mercy from me. And so God sees your heart, and he knows what you are thinking. He knows what you're going through. The elements of prayer are very important. Our desires and passion too must be harmony with love and truth before we heard. Because of course our passion and our desires, if they do not match up with what we're praying for, certainly God will not hear them. For example, you're praying to be more truthful in your life, but yet you're avoiding truth at every opportunity. How can you be praying? Say, God, I want to be truthful. And when the time comes for you to express and to demonstrate truthfulness, you don't follow through. No. The second element is sincerity and purity. You have to be sincere. Element here in prayer. You have to be sincere. God responds to sincerity and purity of desire. Prayer must come from a sincere heart and not an insincere heart. It must come from a sincere heart, and your heart has to be sincere. You know, it doesn't matter how pretty your prayer sounds and look. It doesn't matter how impressive my prayer is. It doesn't matter how people call me a prayer warrior. If my prayer is not sincere, if my prayer is not sincere, I'm not speaking to God. I'm speaking to myself. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So you must have a sincere heart. And no wonder why the psalmist says here in the book of Psalm 51 and verses 7 and 8, he says, what should you do, God? He says what? Purge me with what? Hyssop. And so you're saying, God, I know my fault. I know my ways are not right. But guess what happened? I want you to cleanse me. Not only purge me, but I want you to wash me. Not only I want you to wash me, I want you to fill me. And so verse 8 says, make me to hear what? The joy of gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. And you're right, because you see, the devil, he doesn't want you to be sincere in your prayers. And too often as Christians, we just go through emotion. because others are going through the motions. And we do it not so much to please God, but we do it to show that we can pray. The third element is earnestness. You have to be earnest. You have to be earnest. You have to be determined. You have to show that perseverance. You have to say, Lord, I mean what I am saying here. I mean what I am saying here. And so God responds to the earnestness of our